Hey everybody! With a buttload of cards in Moonstone Island, deck building can be a bit confusing, right? That's why today, we'll be talking about some ways on how you can build your deck for fast and easy combat. This guide will cover the different types of cards, the best talismans and how to use them, and how your stat affects your cards. But before we begin, why don't you click that like and subscribe for more Moonstone Island guides? You done? Okay, now let's go! The basics. Before I explain how to build your deck, let's first talk about the different types of cards and how they'll be useful. There are 3 types of cards in this game: the attack, skill, and bash cards. The attack card basically deals damage. However, using an elemental attack card on a spirit with the opposite element will lower their armor. This depends on the number of hits that the card does. You will see that you have an elemental advantage for a card when there is a red circular icon in battle. Here's an example. Since water is weak against electric spirits, then using a multiple hit electric card like this one will lower the enemy's armor based on the number of card hits. So a 5-hit card lowers 5 armors. The skill cards are the other cards that either buffs your spirit or scrambles your deck. I'm not a big fan of these except for the refresh and free picks, but I will tell you why later in this guide. The bash cards are very handy cards that lowers the target's armor. Having 0 armor, the target receives times 1.5 damage regardless of your element, and they're unable to attack for a turn. We will talk about what stats affect this card later as well. Talismans. Now that we know the basics, we can start deck building with talismans. There are 3 types of talisman that you can get in game. The Cleanse Talisman removes a card, the Meditate upgrades a card, and the Study Talisman gives you a new card. You can get this by exploring the world and by interacting with the talisman thingies. These thingies actually reset per season. That's why I highly advise you to prioritize on unlocking your glider so that you can visit more islands. And then by summer year 1, you'd be reigning in talismans. And make sure to come back every season. If you like to battle and explore dungeons though, then you're probably loaded with some research money. Consider stopping by larger islands once a day for a couple of hours just to summon the Magic Man's hut. This guy sells a random talisman for 400 gold and it resets every day. You can also buy extra cards for the spirits on your medallion. If you're wondering what are the best talismans to get, then hear me out. And now for the strategizing part. This one varies on what spirits you have and how you want to build them. Removing cards. Remember when I said that I'm not a fan of skill cards? That's because of the Cleanse Talisman, as it lets us build our spirits however we want to. Want a full support water spirit? Then you can remove all those unnecessary cards and just keep the bash, regen, and a couple of multi-hits. Once you've decided to build for your spirit, you can start using the Cleanse Talisman to trim their deck. Removing cards that you don't want makes it more likely for the cards that you do want to show up in battle. You can just keep removing those cards that you really don't use much, and you don't have to worry about regretting this later, because you can always get the Study Talisman, level your spirits, or buy cards from the Magic Man to fix your deck. Adding and upgrading cards. Once you're all done trimming, head over to the Magic Man's hut to check if there are any cards that you can buy before you use your upgrade talisman. I'm also not a big fan of the Study Talisman because you can get better cards by leveling your spirits, and I also prefer to handpick them by checking the Magic Man's shop. I highly suggest that you get some Cleanse Talisman and Meditate Talisman instead. You can start feeding your spirits the Meditate Talisman very early in the game to make your every move worth it in battle. Oh, and I personally prefer to spam my spirits with AoE and multi-hit cards for damage builds. I don't know, it just really makes the battle faster. Plus, having a Psychic Spirit gives so much energy, so you could just spam all them AoEs. Anyways, let's talk about the stats. If you want your spirit to do high armor breaks, then you'd want to pump your speed stat for your bash cards. I also prefer having a tank bash build spirit all the time to quickly finish the battles. Remember that 0 armor does times 1.5 damage regardless of your element, so this means that, for example, a water elemental spirit will still deal times 1.5 damage to electric spirits despite the disadvantage. On the other hand, power affects all of your skills-based damage. It does not affect the number of hits for multiple hit cards. If you want more hits like this one, then you have to use a Meditation Talisman to upgrade that card. Other stats are vitality for more HP, and the armor gives less damage and higher chances of block. And that's about it for Combat 101 and deck building. Have fun banishing spirits or something. If you have any guide suggestions, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments because I'm really obsessing over this game. Oh, and I'm also doing a Moonstone Island key giveaway until the 30th. Check out the comments section for more information. And don't forget to boop that like and subscribe for more in-the-game guides coming your way. Bye-bye!